Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahakudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, and the biblical Edomites are known today as these so-called white people, these Caucasians, these Americans, the British, Europeans, Russians, South Afrikaners, etc., etc. And his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that least of the flock is also talking about Edomites, the Amalekite Edomites over in the Holy Land right now, calling themselves ISRAELISs, who for the rest of the video I'll be referring to as the 1948ers. And we have to speak in codes because of YouTube's algorithms. But as it says, the least of the flock shall draw them out. These 1948ers are going to do something to provoke a war against Iran, which is going to draw in on the side of the 1948ers, the United States and other NATO nations, and on the side of Iran, Russia, China, and her other allies. And this is going to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat in that Middle Eastern region, the main part of World War III. The War of Armageddon in Joel chapter 3. And in this video, I'll be going through some information to show that that least of the flock is getting ready to draw them out. And the first piece of information I'll be going to is on RT.com, and the title of the article reads, 1948ers may attack Iran. Defense Minister Benny Gantz told a class of cadets that Tehran's nuclear sites could be hit within 2 or 3 years. 1948ers could launch a military offensive targeting Iran's nuclear sites within a 2 to 3 year time frame, Defense Minister Benny Gantz told a class of graduating 1948er Air Force cadets on Wednesday, boasting that the country had significantly increased its preparedness in recent years and is preparing for the possibility of an attack on Iran. And this past summer, the 1948ers did a major military drill titled Chariots of Fire, which involved all branches of their military simulating attacks against Iran, as well as Iran's allies and proxy forces. And they also did drills involving the U.S. military with U.S. refueling planes simulating refueling 1948er fighter jets on long-range missions to attack Iranian nuclear sites. And Benny Gantz just said that Tehran's nuclear sites could be hit within 2 or 3 years. But Apostle Tahar has deemed 2023 to be the year, the hopeful year, that all prophecies are fulfilled. And Abaratazah, that all prophecies are fulfilled. And it isn't 2 or 3 years before the 1948ers attack Iran's nuclear facilities and provoke a war against Iran and play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. But if it isn't this year, just know that with information like this coming out, we know that it's very soon. Outgoing Prime Minister Yair Lapid clarified that such an attack would be a response to threats that we see as existential, assuring the newly minted pilots of the 1948ers' military superiority while warning the country's enemies that no 1948er government will agree to Iran becoming nuclear. If it is necessary to act, we will act. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Lapid was replaced by Benjamin Netanyahu when the latter's newly elected government was sworn in on Thursday. The 1948er's longest serving prime minister until he was unseated last year. Netanyahu is a committed Iran hawk who has been predicting the Islamic Republic would have a nuclear bomb within 3 years since 1992. And Benjamin Netanyahu, who, as I just said, has become the 1948's prime minister again, has put together the most right-wing cabinet that the 1948er state has ever seen in its existence, which pretty much is giving him carte blanche to do whatever he wants to Iran. So we can clearly see that the Most High is putting all the perfect pieces in play for the least of the flock to draw out these other nations down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat for the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. And like I said at the beginning of the video, coming in on the side of the 1948ers is going to be the United States and these other NATO nations, but coming in to aid Iran is going to be nations like Russia and China, and Russia is already boosting up Iran's military capabilities because they, as well as Iran, know it's only a matter of time before the 1948ers and the United States of America do something to provoke a war against Iran, which segues into my next bit of information on off-grid desert farming with Paul and Adrian 2's YouTube channel titled Breaking News, 1948ers Ready Attack Plan for Iran as Russia sends 24 Su-35 fighter jets to Iran. And these are some of the most advanced fighter jets out there. So Russia, again, is already boosting up Iran's military capabilities, and Iran is also helping Russia as well by sending them those drones to help them in their war in Ukraine. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this video, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And I'm going to start the video at the 50-minute and 42-second mark. Hop around a bit.
So the world's in a mess, and it's going to get a lot worse. So let me just read a little bit of this article. Iran buy of the century. 24 plus 40 Russian Su-35 fighter jets land in Isfahan, along with 4 Mi-26 helicopters. Amok in Israel. War News 24/7 confirmation. Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel urgently forms a war council. So this is the Su-35, a fourth generation fighter jet, one of Russia's top of the line fighter jets, now going to Iran. Iran has confirmed that it is taking delivery of a full squadron, 24 of Su-35S fighter jets, causing an earthquake in the Middle East. Iran's press TV news agency announced the purchase to the Iranian people in a video. An Iranian journalist also reported that the delivery of the fighters to Iran will begin in the next few days. The base that will welcome them has also been prepared, and this is just the beginning. 40 more Su-35Ss are coming along with the S-400 anti-aircraft system, and in the future, the Su-57, which is Russia's latest fighter jet, folks, the Su-57, a fifth generation fighter jet. Developments are rapid in the Middle East. The area of sanctions on Iran is over. For the first time, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, will have a formidable opponent in the air who will not hesitate to press the knockdown button. Israel's window of time to attack Iran is beginning to narrow.
Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them.
Netanyahu is already forming a war room, speeding up the attack preparation. This is a huge success for War News 24/7, which had revealed this particular development since last August. 4 months later, Israel and other Western medias are now reproducing the War News 24 report. So let me stop here and tell you what might be happening in the near future. Now, like I said earlier, Benjamin Netanyahu was just reelected the leader of Israel, the new prime minister. He has formed the most right-wing government in Israel's history. That means pretty much he can do what he wants. So Benjamin Netanyahu has been a war hawk on attacking Iran. Now he has the government that will approve an attack. So not only do we have the situation ongoing in Ukraine, we could have a potential major war in the Middle East with Israel attacking Iran's nuclear sites in the coming months. And this would escalate, folks, out of control also. We also have the potential for...
Now I'm going to jump to about the 57-minute mark.
Like I said, Russia has some or another referred to the acquisition of dozens of fighter jets. Netanyahu forms a war room for Iran. Israeli media, one after another, referred to the acquisition of the S-35 by Iran, noting that Tehran has so far delivered 1,700 drones to Russia, 250 in the last few days, and another 300 in the future. In addition, he will hand over ballistic missiles to receive anti-aircraft systems in exchange. They also added Netanyahu forms a war cabinet for Iran. Netanyahu names Hawk Zazi Hannibi to head the National Security Council. Sorry about the names, folks. New Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday appointed his longtime political ally, Jassy Hannibi, to head the National Security Council. He will replace Ilya Hulati, who has been National Security Advisor since 2021. Says he is an expert and a hawk on Iran's nuclear program. So I'm not going to finish reading the article, but I just want...
That's it. With this bit of information, you get the point. But again, as we can clearly see, the Most High is putting all the pieces in place to fulfill prophecy, to fulfill the least of the flock, drawing them out to play into the bigger battle in the valley of Jehoshaphat, Joel chapter 3. Now let's go to it. This is Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles, and this is exactly what the true men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers coming in the spirit of GMS, are doing by going out onto the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles online. Prepare war against Iran, World War III, nuclear war, because it will go nuclear, the battle in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the war of Armageddon. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. The 1948ers doing the chariots of fire military drill, Iran receiving new up-to-date military hardware from Russia, the U.S. having a presence in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and some parts of Syria, as well as Russia having a presence in the Middle East, in Syria. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And compared to the United States of America, these NATO nations, and the 1948ers to an extent, the Iranians are weak. But as I said, let the weak say, I am strong. The Iranians have been talking big shit to the U.S. and the 1948ers because they know that if they do anything against them, that it's going to drag in Russia and China in on their side to defend them. And just recently, in the Iranian news, they broadcast a message saying that if the 1948ers dare attack Iran's nuclear facilities, hey, that they're going to rain missiles on the 1948ers. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. The United States of America, the 1948ers, Russia, Iran, China, these NATO nations, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, etc., etc., and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, and those mighty ones are the death angels of the Most High, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to release it, which is mainly going to happen after the mandatory implementation of the Charagma in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, the MARKOFTHEBEAST, which is the RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT is mandatorily implemented. And we can see that that mandatory implementation is right around the corner. You're hearing more talks in the news about CBDCs or central bank digital currencies, a push for a digital cashless society, a recession, really a depression, which is going to lead to an economic collapse to bring in that digital system, and talks of C-hip implants. They had a report recently on one of these mainstream news networks showing a man who had the Charagma in him, which he used to unlock his car, and which he said he also wanted to link his bank account to so that he could do what? Buy and sell with. So while you'll have brush fires, little wars, and shit talking here and there, this main part of World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, will not take place until after the mandatory implementation of the Charagma. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And the main reason the Most High is gathering you heathen nations down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat is to judge you for afflicting the apple of his eye, the children of Israel, who are again known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And at the top of that list of you heathen nations that afflicted the children of Israel, as pursuant to Psalms chapter 83, are you Edomites, which again you 1948ers are a part of, your Amalekite Edomites. Now I'm going to jump up to the first couple of verses in this chapter, and the header reads, the nations will be judged, the heathen nations. For behold, in those days and in that time, which we're living in these days and times right now, the last seconds of the last days, before the end of this age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, and the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, the southern kingdom, or the so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans, so-called Haitians, so-called West Indians, and Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, the so-called Latinos, and so-called Native Americans, the elect of all 12 tribes coming together and coming back to their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, to receive salvation. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. And when you go into that word plead in the Strongs, it's shaphat, which means to judge, vindicate, or punish. Again, the Most High gathering you heathen nations down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat to judge you for afflicting the children of Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. You Edomites took the southern kingdom from the west coasts of Africa to the Americas in the transatlantic slave trade, and you had those so-called Arabs or Ishmaelites, as well as the Hamites or so-called Africans helping you, and then you European Edomite colonizers in the Americas stole the northern kingdom's land and enslaved them and sent some of them to other parts of the world and parted my land, the Holy Land, being divided between those 1948er Amalekite Edomites and those Palestinian Arabs or Ishmaelites. Neither of you belong there. You're both squatters, and you're about to be evicted. Verse 3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink, selling our people, not just the old, but the young, into slavery. There's a great recompense coming for you, heathen nations, chiefly you Edomites, for afflicting the children of Israel. There is no escape from the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And also you Amalekite Edomites owned a lot of those slave ships that brought the southern kingdom from the west coast of Africa to the Americas. Remember Revelation chapter 13, verses 9 to 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And when we see information like this, we know that the day of Yahweh is very near in the valley of decision. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.